my name is Lucinda Eubanks, and I've been a professional artist for over 30 years. I used to teach at the Ritz-Carlton in St. Thomas as well as Kinneal Bay in St. John. And I've been asked over the years to put videos on YouTube to show how I teach my watercolor classes, talk about the colors in the palette, how to get a great composition. I never got around to it, and now I'm quarantined because of the coronavirus, and so I'm taking time to do this because I feel there are so many people out there that never took time for themselves to do something creative. So I'm here today to show you how to use materials that you probably have around the house. I have house paint. These are the three primary colors, blue, red, and yellow. You might not have that, and I totally understand, but maybe you can pull two out of the three. And I also have white. Black would also be a nice color to use, but I don't have that in my palette today. So I've cut out a 11 by 14 piece of cardboard. You may have an old FedEx box or a bag that has a lot of tooth to it. You definitely want something that's a little durable, that's not flimsy, because we are going to be using some house paint today. I also have a toothbrush that I'll be using, and I have an old makeup brush that I don't use anymore. I also have chopsticks because these paints have not been stirred up in a while, so I've pulled out some chopsticks to get the paint loosened off the sides. I also have a comb. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, but who knows. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by painting the entire surface with the white paint. It's actually a little bit off-white. It's a warm color, and again, you know, just give it a try. It certainly is a new time in our life, new challenge, and this could be something that you could do with your kids. Think about a photo from one of your recent vacation trips, or maybe it's a home that you used to live in, or a dog, totally up to you. Something that speaks to your heart. And what I did is I got out my stack of photos from Kinneal Bay, where I was resident artist, and I went through the stack, and I'm going to show you which one I picked out in just a second. It's a fairly simple photo, and you're actually welcome to follow along and create your own Kinneal Bay painting. So we're just about done. I'm going to smooth out some of these ridges, and then I'm going to let it dry, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to draw it in with a pencil. And that I consider the foundation of a really good painting, the drawing. And I know I can hear you right now through the computer that you don't know how to draw, but you'll be surprised. It's all about shapes and lines, and you can draw a circle, an oval, triangle, you're going to be in business. So we're going to let this dry first, and we're going to come back and draw in the painting. Okay, we're back, and it's now dry. I'm ready to start drawing the piece out. When I was resident artist for Kinneal Bay, I used to take loads and loads of photos for my references. I do a lot of commission work still for the property for people who have been there over the years. And I'm gonna paint this piece. It's fairly simple. I know there's a lot of detail in it, but I think it's something that you could do, because if you break it down into shapes and values and color, it's actually pretty easy. So we're gonna draw the piece out first with a pencil, And I'm gonna do it upside down so you can see how it's done. Whenever I start a painting, especially with water in it, I like to figure out where this line is gonna be. I consider that the horizon, not up here, but right here. That's a very important line. For the most part, it's right in the middle. And I'm gonna bring it down just a little bit below the middle. As a rule, you never wanna put something in the middle. And we're gonna come over here and we're gonna come down. I also don't like having a line end at the corner of a piece of paper, so I'm gonna have it end right up above that corner. So that's a fairly simple shape. It's almost like an oval cut in half. And then I'm gonna look at what's going on up here. And this is where I always say we're not curing cancer, and nobody's gonna say, hey, what about those rows of trees? You forgot that. I guarantee you, nobody will know. So getting that in there. And then we have some other foliage right here. There's that. And then we have the shadows. So again, look at things as shapes. This is kind of like a triangle. There's another triangle right there. And like that. We don't want it to end at the corner, so we'll stop it right there. And then we also have some clouds here. And I like the way that ends behind the foliage. So we'll have that go there. And then another cloud right here. Let's have that go right off the page, right off the cardboard. And then we have a few up here. So basically there's 4 here. I don't like that even number, so I'm gonna create a 5th cloud. And I'll put that right behind that tree. Maybe have the tree come up a little bit. Who knows? So I'd like to see a little movement in this, and I'm gonna put a sailboat right here. And a sailboat is usually in the shape of a triangle, right? And I like it to go above the horizon line. If usually your mind wants to put it somewhere over here, and that would be more of a bird's eye view. You don't want that. So there is my drawing, pretty simple, right? So now I have the task of putting the paints out, and this is from a container of nuts and fruit, dried fruit that came from a Christmas present by a good friend, Mark, who was a realtor, so thank you, Mark. And here's my yellow. I've got my off-white, and then my blue has a little bit less liquid in there, so I'm gonna add some water to that because that's a little bit too thick for what I want to be doing. All right, so there's that. So I'm back with clean water. You always want to start off with clean water and a rag. All right. I also have tops of drinks that I've gotten in the past. If I need to mix, I'll use that. And I also, this came with peaches, so that's gonna be a nice little piece to use to mix. This is the right side of the brush. Okay, so what I've done is I've put the colors in the palette, and I'm gonna use these things to mix the colors. So right now I'm gonna start off with the sky, and again with my paintbrush, I'm gonna get that color out onto the cardboard. Paint around that shape that I want to see as a cloud. And come in with a little bit of color in the tree. You know, you can always look through the trees on the edges. And come on down to the tops of the trees. So I think creating makes you happy, and I always think of this woman that I taught at Keneal. She was the first woman that I taught when I started the program there. Her name was Virginia Nyman, and her mother just passed away, and she was very depressed. And so I gave her 2 lessons, and I'll never forget, she was getting ready to leave on her last day at Keneal, and she had a yellow dress on, and she was practically dancing. She was so happy, and she attributed it to the watercolor class that she took from me. It got her out of the grief, at least for that time, and I always wondered what happened to her, but I remember teaching her, and it made her happy. So I'm hoping that that's gonna have the same effect for you all today when you're following along or doing your own painting. So here you see I put in the sky, and now I'm gonna work in the water. I'm gonna use that same blue because we only have three colors here, and I'm gonna add a little bit of yellow to that to give it a little bit of a green there. So clean off your brush or your toothbrush or whatever you're using, and have yourself a napkin or a towel. So there's that, and then let's see, I'm take my blue and get into the yellow. It's gonna give me a nice green. Just scrape that right across. Right up onto the beach. A little bit of blue right up here. You see that's a little bit darker. Maybe add a little bit of red in there, making it a little different. So I've been painting since I was 5. And I remember telling my mother after I drew a Easter bunny that I wanted to be an artist, and she laughed at me and she said, that's gonna be a hard road to hoe. Hope you marry somebody rich. Well, that gave me fuel to my fire to prove her wrong. I've had a wonderful career creating beauty and teaching people, showing them a side that they didn't realize they had. And I think I'm going to add a little bit of white right here. So that made it feel like it's shallow water. All right. So go ahead and clean off your brush. You always want to clean off your brush when you're getting into another color because you don't want to contaminate. Now I'm going to mix the color for the trees in the over there by the beach. So I'm going to take again the blue, I'm going to take the yellow, and I'm going to take a little bit of the red. So what I'm looking for is a green gray, and I'm not going to add any of the white. So let's see what this looks like. So it looks a little too much like the water, so I'm going to add a little bit more of the yellow. So here's where the challenge is. We're using house paint, and probably not going to get the color that we are looking for, but let's see what happens. Oh, that's really gray. So this is going to be the trees, and I'm going to come right up. There's the top of the sailboat. That kind of looks like palm fronds. Happy with that. So now what I'm going to do is mix the blue and the yellow, which will get me a green, and I'm going to go back over that to create some foliage. So there we are with the yellow. And the green. A little bit more blue for the green. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so we're gonna mix that in there. That's kind of fun. Some straight yellow, even though that's not what we have in our photo. We're creating our own image. Alrighty. And then I'm going to add a little bit more yellow to that same mixture. And this is going to be my sea grape tree, which is what you'd find along the beaches. I believe that's Scott Beach there at Kinneal. So here are my leaves. And then of course we're gonna want to see some branches to connect those leaves. So here and there, right? Well, like that. Clean off my brush. And now what I'm gonna do is get into the beach color. I'm going to use part of the white that I painted, but I want to see a little bit more warmth on the beach. So I'm going to add some yellow to the white, the off-white. Well, that's not good. Oh my God, what do we do? So here's where I'm going to take my napkin, just rub that right in. Kind of looks like a reflection on the water. So here's where an accident can turn into something positive. I'm going to touch that up. And so here's that warm color for the beach. I believe that is too yellow, so I'm going to take a little bit of what I mixed here and put that in there to cut the sharpness of that yellow to create more of a yellow gray. And that's going to work for me right there. So start off by rubbing the beach as if the shadows are hitting the beach, and maybe a little bit along the water's edge. And over here on the other side. So while we're letting that dry, I'm going to add a little bit of the red for the shadows on the beach. So here I'm just dabbing it. You've got some footprints there. The beach is obviously uneven. So there's that, and remember that triangle up here. paint that right to the edge of your cardboard or your piece of paper. I'm going to clean off my brush and I'm going to get back into my blue. Clouds are a little bit too dark, so I've added some of the white and I'm softening that up, and I'm going to bring it around this way so not over the painting. And there we are. So notice the swirling that I'm doing. That creates those nice cumulus clouds, those nice puffy clouds. A little bit more of the white. So again, because it's opaque, we can always go over it. I'm gonna touch this up a bit, and that's gonna be getting back into the blue. So there's a little bit too much on my brush, so I'm gonna dab that a little bit. There we are. Okay, so there's a little bit of a lighter sky, so white and a little bit of the blue. And you'll be surprised at how fast time flies. My classes are normally 2 hours long, and the comments I get at the end of a class is, I cannot believe how fast time flies. So the only thing I'm gonna finish up with is the makeup brush. I want a little detail on that sailboat. So I'm gonna come in with a little bit of blue. And open up the hole in the sail. Give it the shape of a hole, and maybe add a little bit of a reflection on the water from the sails. Fun at home with paint from your garage. So feel free to contact me if you have any questions. My email address is lucinda@artbylucinda.com. My website is Art by Lucinda, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks so much for joining me.